Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you or someone you love depends on Social Security benefits, you need to hear this. There's a major policy shift happening behind the scenes at the Social Security Administration that could dramatically impact your monthly check. I'm talking about a change that could cost you hundreds of dollars per month. And the worst part is, hardly anyone knows about it. No public announcements, no press releases, no letters sent to your mailbox. Just a quiet internal directive that could determine whether a person can afford groceries next month, pay their rent, or keep the lights on. Now here's where it gets truly alarming. The government actually has the legal authority to take back your Social Security money, sometimes even the entire amount, if they claim you were overpaid. And in most cases, these so-called overpayments aren't even the recipient's fault. They're often due to agency errors, delayed updates, outdated records, flawed income reports, and clerical slip-ups. Sometimes it takes the SSA years to even notice the discrepancy, and by the time they do, what started as a small mistake has ballooned into thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars in alleged debt. So what changed? Well, on April 25th, the SSA issued a quiet internal update that modifies how much they can withhold from your Social Security check if you've been told you owe them money. Previously, the SSA had the power to withhold up to 100% of your benefits. Yes, you heard that right. They could literally take away your entire monthly check if they claimed you owed them money, regardless of whether it was their error. This practice led to devastating consequences for vulnerable people living on fixed incomes. Imagine living on just $200 a month, scraping by, and then suddenly receiving a letter saying you owe $15,000, with a warning that your future checks will be cut off until it's repaid. No phone call, no heads up, just a cold, bureaucratic letter that hits like a hammer. That's exactly what happened to one woman who ended up homeless, all because the SSA claimed she owed them money due to their own mistake. Now let's rewind to last year under President Biden, when SSA Commissioner Martin O'Malley implemented a policy capping withholdings at 10% of a person's monthly benefit. This was a huge relief for many. O'Malley argued that taking more than 10% forced people to choose between food and medicine. And he was right. It was a compassionate, reasonable policy. But things changed again. Under the current acting SSA Commissioner, Lee Dudek, that 10% cap was reversed. The agency went back to the harsh old rule, allowing up to 100% withholding, claiming this would save $7 billion over the next decade. The backlash was immediate and strong, with critics calling it clawback cruelty. But now, in a recent behind-the-scenes update that most people haven't even heard about, the SSA has made another adjustment. They've lowered the withholding cap to 50% of your monthly check. So if you receive $200 a month, the most they can now take is $600. Now sure, that's better than losing the entire check, but losing half your income is still devastating, especially for seniors, disabled individuals, and others already struggling to make ends meet. What's frustrating is the lack of transparency. This wasn't rolled out with a big announcement. There was no letter from the SSA explaining the change. It was communicated internally and quietly implemented, leaving most people completely unaware. And the rules keep shifting with each new administration. One side sees Social Security as a lifeline, a promise made to Americans after a lifetime of work. The other treats it as just another line item on the budget, to be trimmed and adjusted, even if people suffer as a result. And let's not forget how complicated this all is. Even when people receive these overpayment notices, the appeals process is often slow, overwhelming, and confusing. Yes, you do have the right to appeal. You can request a waiver or negotiate a repayment plan. But the system isn't designed to be user-friendly. It's filled with red tape, long wait times, and bureaucratic language that many find impossible to navigate. Some people give up entirely. Not because they agree with the SSA's claim, but because the process is just too difficult to manage, especially when you're already facing hardship. And here's an important detail. If you're receiving supplemental security income, SSI, the original 10% cap still applies to you. The new 50% rule only affects those receiving regular Social Security benefits, like retirement or disability. But again, most people don't even know which rules apply to them. They get these scary letters and have no idea if they're protected under the 10% rule or hit with the 50% cut. This lack of clarity, this fear and uncertainty, it erodes the trust people have in a system that's supposed to protect them. Social Security was built to provide peace of mind, a stable and reliable income in retirement, or for those unable to work. But when policies shift silently in the background, that sense of security vanishes. It doesn't feel like a promise anymore. It feels like a gamble. Critics of the new 50% rule say it's still not enough. Former Commissioner O'Malley called it half as cruel, but still cruel. And they're right. It's better than nothing, but it's still harmful. It's still forcing people to choose between buying food and paying rent. And with every policy change, the confusion grows. An already understaffed, underfunded agency now has to deal with even more calls, more complaints, and more appeals, because nobody knows what to expect anymore. So, what can you do if you're affected? First, if you receive a notice about an overpayment, read it carefully. See how much they plan to deduct. If it's more than 50% and you're on standard Social Security, not SSI, that could be a mistake. Call the SSA and get clarification immediately. And don't forget, you have the right to appeal. You can request a waiver. You can work out a repayment plan that's manageable. It might not be easy, but you're not powerless. There are nonprofit organizations, legal aid services, and advocates who can help you navigate this. If you're overwhelmed, reach out to those resources. You're not alone, even though it may feel that way. And if you've personally experienced this, if you or someone you care about has gotten one of those overpayment letters, I want to hear your story. Share it in the comments. Talking about this helps others realize they're not isolated. It spreads awareness, and it could even help spark real change. At the heart of all this is a fundamental question. Is Social Security a benefit we earned through years of work and contribution? Or is it a handout the government can snatch back at any time? That conflict is shaping policy right now, and it's affecting millions of lives. So what can we do about it? We stay informed. We keep talking about it. We help each other through it. And yes, if you're able, reach out to your elected representatives. Real change often starts with ordinary people raising their voices. This issue affects nearly every American, if not now, then someday. We deserve a Social Security system we can trust. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, if you want to stay up to date on these important changes, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll continue bringing you the latest news with honest, clear explanations. No fluff, no fear tactics. Just the facts and what they mean for you and your family. Take care of yourself and remember, you're not alone in this. We're in it together.